we're recording all of this, so this will show up in electronic music hit coming to you soon in your record store. In the meantime, hopefully all of you are at the right place. This is a webinar for Energy Upgrade California, in particular in conjunction with the PG&E Whole House Rebate Program. My name is Bruce Mass. I'm the Director of Programs at Build It Green. I'm here with my colleague Korin Crawford. Also, as part of the Build It Green team, we have Eric Howarth and Jeff Madledge from EGIA. Joanne Panchana from PG&E is on the line, and we've got a couple guest presenters with us today, Dan Nguyen from CHF and Mark Fischer from Green Solutions by Grupe. I'll be introducing them here presently. Before we get started, I wanted to give Jeff a moment to talk about a few housekeeping issues. For those of you who aren't intimately familiar with GoToMeeting webinars, Jeff's going to talk about kind of how you can interact with us. Jeff?
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Real quick, just want to, for everyone who's out there attending this, we're going to go through, the presenters are going to go through the slides, and what we're going to do is go ahead and mute all of your phones to try to avoid any technical difficulties like we just had for a second there. But if you want, go ahead and type your questions into the questions box on your screen there, and then we'll go ahead and read those out during the presentation and answer them as they come in. So just a little bit on that, and with that, I guess, Bruce, I'll throw it back to you.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. So if you want to advance to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the program for today. Great. So this is a special 2-hour format. If you've joined the webinars that we've had, the last couple we've done, they were just 1-hour events. This is a little bit longer. We've got a little bit more content that we wanted to share with you today. What we'd like to do today, we're going to start with some welcoming remarks from Joanne Panchana. And then, kind of true to our past practices, we want to shine the spotlight on one of our high-performing contractors in the program, and this time it's Green Home Solutions by Grupe. Again, if you've been with us in the past, past times we've spotlighted Advanced Home Energy and ABC Cooling, and this time I'm really pleased to have Mark Fischer from Grupe with us today. Then we're going to talk about some of the upcoming transitions that you need to know about as a participating contractor, and we're going to focus today on what's going to be new and different about submitting job applications. If you were with us in late May, we talked about upcoming changes with the enrollment process. Today we're going to focus on the job applications. Corin's going to walk us through that. And then last but not least, Dan Nguyen from CHF is going to talk about some of the interesting financing opportunities available through CHF as part of Energy Upgrade California. And we'll pause for questions in between each speaker, so we'll make sure you get your questions answered as we go along here. And I think that's pretty much all the explanation that's needed at this point. So if you want to advance to the next slide, and I'd like to invite Joanne Panchana to say a few words. Joanne is the program manager for PG&E, and it's been a real pleasure working with Joanne.
Great, thank you, Bruce. So this is Joanne Panchana, as Bruce mentioned, the program manager for Energy Upgrade California Whole House Program at PG&E. I don't have any huge updates, but I wanted to share with you all some of the great success that we've been having over the past several months, and within May in particular, by sharing some of the jobs numbers to get you guys excited about the increase in activity. So to date, we have, as of yesterday actually, we have over 735 jobs that have been received, over 360 of which have been completed and invoiced to PG&E. So it's been a really exciting few months. The month of May has been our best on record, thanks to all you contractors out there and local governments who have helped support it and advertise this program. We had 134 jobs come in May alone. And June so far has proved to be equally as exciting. In the first week of June, we had 41 new job submissions. So that's been a really exciting thing for me to witness and see the increased growth and increased performance. I wanted to take a minute to thank all of you out there who have made this possible, and I hope that you keep it up. So that was all from me, but I want to pass it on and keep the program going.
Great. Thanks so much, Joanne. So next we want to we want to feature our contractor spotlight, and today I want to introduce Mark Fischer. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Mark personally for a number of years, and I've been continually impressed with Grupe Homes' commitment to sustainable building practices. Mark has been on the board with California Building Performance Contractors Association now for a couple years, and Green Home Solutions by Grupe is an outgrowth of Grupe Homes' efforts. If you're familiar with Grupe, they've been building new homes in the Central Valley since going back to 1966, and they've done a lot of really innovative things on the new home side, even developing a zero energy community back in 2006, Carson's Crossing. In 2009, they decided it's time to expand their operations and diversify a little bit. They got into doing energy evaluations and green upgrades of existing homes. They've gotten into home performance, and they've embraced it with both arms, and really thrilled to have them here with us today. And I'd like to ask Mark to talk a little bit about what worked for them and their experience with home performance and how that's fitting into their business model. Mark, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Bruce, or Jeff, I'm not sure which. I was thinking I had a slide here, but maybe I don't.
If Jeff could, there we go.
Pardon me? Oh, okay. Yeah, so as Bruce pointed out, we started into the business in about 2009, and we got our start through the Carson's Crossings project, which was quote-unquote a zero-energy community that combined solar, photovoltaics, and energy efficiency that produced houses that consumed about 2/3 less energy than the standard house. It was called zero energy because at the time, to be in the DOE zero energy program, you had to consume at least 50% less. But I guess the point I want to make here it was this process or this project that really opened our eyes to the value of energy efficiency. When we looked at the amount of return on the energy efficiency things that we did versus the solar, it was startling. And as the housing market began to evaporate, or I guess I should say crash, we realized that we needed to reinvent ourselves. And we have not built a new home since the year 2007, so it's going to be 4 years at the end of this year since we've built a new home. And so, what are we going to do? I mean, what are we going to do when we come to the office every day? And we didn't really want to lay off all the people that we'd developed over the last 20 years. I mean, we have a really good staff, and really did not want to see them have to go either. So I was speaking at an EVA conference. I met a home performance contractor, and we kind of took it off from there. We had Rick Chitwood come in from up in Chico. He's a big-time PG&E instructor, and he actually spent 2 solid weeks with our staff. And at the end of those weeks, we took our BPI written exam, and I'm happy to say all my staff passed. And then we just started playing around with houses and really kind of perfecting our craft. And about, a month or 2 later, Rick came back, and we all took our field exams. And so before we knew it, we had, 5 or 6 guys that were BPI certified as building analysts. And really in the beginning, we really did most of our work on just family and friends, okay? Well, they were friends before the job. I'm not so sure after. Just kidding. It really went well. But we started off by just doing people we knew and who had obvious problems. And we started monitoring the energy savings after we did the work. And we really started getting excited. I mean, we really didn't know what to expect, what our work would produce. But the very first house that we did started experiencing, just very large energy savings. In fact, we now, it's been a year since we've done that now, and they saved about 60% year over year. And so any doubts that we had that this was kind of a good thing to do evaporated very quickly. So now that now we're kind of up and we're doing friends and family, and we really needed to start thinking about, well, how do we make this a business? And, I'm sure all of you guys have gone through this. We happen to own a real estate company that sells homes, and so we've done some of our work was just coming from people who were buying homes that needed some work done on their homes. And some people might get a 203K or an energy efficiency mortgage or something of that kind, and we'll go out and we'll do the work. And that kind of started us going. But that really is by itself is not enough to sustain a company, at least not the company that we want to be. And so we started doing more conventional things. We got our website up, Facebook, started advertising, those kinds of things, and slowly but surely, the word got out there, and we just started building momentum. And that's when all the challenges come in. As you guys know, this is a very paperwork-intensive business. When it comes to documenting all the stuff the way that BPI wants it documented, then you've got to get all the stuff into Energy Bureau properly and get it into PG&E or SMUD or whoever you're doing the things. And that takes time and it takes people. And so we spent, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks really just kind of fumbling around with that. But, brought in a consultant to help us with Energy Pro, and now we have that working pretty smoothly. The other thing that, we had to do is, we were getting a lot of people that were asking us for audits that didn't really need them. And so not only was it a waste of their money, but it was a waste of our time. And so, one of the other big things that we learned was how to pick and choose. Who are we going to do work for, and who are we going to make a difference on? Some examples, we have people who have been in their house 1 year, a 2010 year, 1-year-old home. Well, chances are that home's pretty well insulated. The ducts don't leak. So there's not a lot to do there. So I guess that's, one thing that I would point out to, contractors are starting out in this business is really, really analyze your lead flow and don't jump at every opportunity. You'll save yourself a lot of money by disqualifying them on the phone before you roll the truck. Finding your market. I mean, I think the thing that we find that's working the best for us now is that these rebate programs are really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I've never seen PG&E and or SMUD rebates as high as they are now. And when we tell people that, they can spend somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 and, reduce their energy bill somewhere between 20 and 40%, and get somewhere between $1,500 to $4,000, depending on the energy savings, back in the form of a rebate, it's a pretty compelling story. I'm sure most of you are finding that, and that's kind of being borne out by the numbers that Joanna just went over in terms of the uptake in this program. We're also, working with the CHF program now, and we're finding that that's a great tool for people who want to do the work but can't find the money. And we're just starting with that program, but we're very encouraged about the prospects. And I guess really that's about it. I can tell you that when we started this business, we were about 5 guys. Now I have a staff of about 20. We're doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 jobs a month, trying to grow that to 60, and have great expectations for the future.
Fantastic. And Mark, we're here to help you grow that to 60 and maybe a few more than that yet.
There we go.
Wonderful. So I got a question for Joanne. I'm going to hold that question in the interest of continuity. And if folks have questions for Mark, I'd like to take those first. Just keep an eye out on the question box. Anyone have questions for Mark before we move on? Wonderful. Well, thank you, Mark. I really appreciate your joining us today and giving us your experience with the program. And like I say, I'm heartened by the success you've experienced so far, and it's our job to make that much higher than what you've experienced in the past. Before we move on, I wanted to toss a question over to Joanne. This is from Aaliyah Lawrence Pine. Joanne, Aaliyah was interested in knowing if you could give us an update on the status of rebates for 2- and 4-unit condominiums and 2- and 4-unit homes.
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and give an update on that. So currently for the pilot program is focused on single-family detached homes. However, we recently got approval on a case-by-case basis to allow some people to proceed that are in buildings with up to 4 units. And as part of that, through the pilot, we are finding out through that and with increased QA, trying to find out how those type of properties from a combustion safety perspective interact differently, and what, if any, additional training is necessary to get contractors up to speed to be able to test those type of buildings for combustion safety. So that's currently the status, and we plan to integrate and allow buildings with up to 4 units to participate in the full program rollout, pending some additional clarification on this combustion safety testing for those properties that will come from the learnings that we're gathering at this point.
Great, fantastic. Thank you, Joanne. I don't see any other questions at this point, so why don't we move on? So next up is Corin Crawford here from Build It Green, and Corin's going to give another status update on the transition from the pilot program to the full program. So as you know, the pilot program has been going on for the better part of a year now, and we're in the middle of transition to the full-scale program. And if you've been part of our past webinars on this subject, we're making the transition in steps so that we're not trying to swallow the entire elephant all at once. And so today, Corin is going to talk specifically about changes coming that relate to submitting jobs and getting your job applications processed. So Corin, why don't you take it from here?
Okay, sounds good. Jumping right in, we wanted to update you on a change to the basic upgrade package that will be in place for the full program as opposed to the pilot program. What's different? From the right hand of the slide, a change from the pilot is that thermostatic control and or shutoff valves are now required in the full program. In the prescriptive list of measures before, for the pilot, it was noted that thermostatic control valves and low-flow shower heads were recommended but not required. And so now the thermostatic control valve is a requirement, and we wanted to make sure that that's not to be confused with the thermostatic mixing valve. People who have looked at those products in the past have there was confusion from a vendor and our manufacturer's end as to whether or not they were looking for a thermostatic control valve or a thermostatic mixing valve. And what we really want, or what is really required, is a thermostatic control or shutoff valve. We do want to let you know of a product that is available, and at this point in our research, it was the only product that we saw that was available for thermostatic control valves, and it's a product made by Evolve Showerheads, the Ladybug water-saving showerhead adapter, and that is the product number there. So we did just want to let you know about that product, and we have seen links, online purchase, the availability to purchase this product online, Amazon or other sites. Everything else is the same with the basic program. We just wanted to give you that update, and now we can jump in. Next slide, please. So let's review a bit about where we are within the overall transition. We launched the Contractor portal. That was the first transition, which is the entry point for contractors to learn about or to get information, enroll, process jobs, ultimately within the full program. And there was a web recording, a webinar recorded, and it is on our portal posted, and that's the URL that you can follow to find out about the Contractor portal. But the Contractor portal is up right now. More information. We're progressively posting more and more information as we take on more pieces of the program. But we do want to just reiterate the fact that the portal is up, and it's available for participating contractors to get acquainted with. Contractor enrollment. There was a webinar on May 25th that principally discussed the contractor enrollment process. We've developed an online tool for contractor enrollment, which will be available off the portal, and we do expect that to be available very shortly. So we did want to let you know to stay tuned. Some folks have been in touch with the pilot program administrators, and they said that Build a Green is going to be, getting in touch shortly about the launch of the enrollment site. And again, we do want you to, we do want to let you know that it's in the review and approval process. It has been developed and pending legal review, and as soon as that is approved, then we'll be launching it, and we will send out an email and announcements about that. So the first, we'll be initially taking new enrollments, and then as we go at the end of the month, we'll be accepting all. It will be available for all contractors to go in there and update their account if contact information has changed and things like that. So our enrollment site can be thought of as an account management site, where new enrollees will join the program, as well as you folks, the participating contractors, can go in and update your account information, and then so on and so forth. The next two steps, this next step is job applications, and that's the topic of today. And it is a two-step process. On June 16th, Build a Green will be accepting new jobs, and we will provide the details around how to submit new jobs and what data to collect. And on July 1st, we'll be processing all jobs. So in the intervening time between June 16th and July 1st, we're really encouraging participating contractors to close out as many jobs, as many open jobs as possible with CBPCA. And I think that will just be the easiest process for continuity's sake. And then when July 1st comes, it will, any open jobs will be transferred over to Build a Green for us to work with you to close out. In lockstep with our two-step process for job applications will be, our enhanced QA, based upon, sort of the latest QA protocols and requirements of the full program. And the same dates apply as I indicated above. So let's go on to the next slide where we can dig in a little bit more. So as I said before, the transition to job reporting is a two-step process. And there are two key areas where there will be changes, and those two areas will be phased in as a two-step process. So for step one, there are enhanced data requirements, and the principal underlying feature or characteristics of those enhanced data requirements have to do with augmented BPI combustion appliance safety procedures. So there will be new forms, new data requirements associated with the full program's combustion appliance safety protocol and procedures, as well as changes to job data that will be collected based upon other programmatic updates and changes, and that will come into effect on June 16th. Step one is in place to help contractors get acquainted with and accustomed to the new data collection procedures, and everything else will remain the same in terms of the manner in which you're submitting jobs. Right now you all are submitting jobs via Excel-based JRTs, Excel-based data collection forms, uploading files, required files associated with that, be they energy simulations and/or scopes of work, agreements, utility bill data. So that method of data submission will remain the same. Then beginning July 1st, the second step will transition to online data entry and submission with our Green Energy Compass tool. And so in that sense, we will be transitioning from Excel-based data collection to online data collection, and that's going to become effective July 1st. So next slide, please. So within the enhanced data requirements, this slide really lays out what forms and what pieces of documentation are going to be required. So as I mentioned, and so if we look for the basic package, if we look on the left-hand side of the slide, we're going to have an Excel-based job data collection form, which is a lot like, it's based on the CBPCA pilot program JRT. So, you won't really feel too much of a change there. It looks the same, it functions the same. It's slightly altered based upon what is required for the full program basic and advanced path. Next is a combustion appliance safety data collection form. This is a PDF form. It's a fill-in form, and it goes through the combustion safety elements, characteristics, data requirements per BPI standards, which the folks who are performing the combustion appliance safety test, be it for the basic path or the advanced path, will be accustomed to. This form can be parsed automatically on our end within our software systems, and so that's just a different form that will be uploaded, but it shouldn't be anything new in terms of your process, the data that you're collecting. The next will be a CAS action guideline form. And this is the form, both in Excel and a Word doc, allowing you to do, Excel-based data entry or more of a paper-based, field-based data collection or data, guidelines and checklists for the augmented combustion appliance safety standards. And so, again, that's just, this form is all about the augmented combustion appliance safety. In addition to that, there will be, proposal, scope of work document, and a signed bid with the homeowner and invoice from the homeowner. And if we move over to the advanced side of things, everything remains the same in terms of the forms, except in addition to that, your energy simulation documents will be submitted as well. This table, lays out at what point within the job application process these documents will be submitted. So it shows you in the pre-installation job application phase what data forms will need to be submitted, and then also within the post application, the post installation, after you've completed your energy efficiency improvements to the client's home. So with that, we'll move on to the next slide. We get some more details on these forms. So the job data collection form, as I said before, is based on CBPCA's pilot program JRT. This is a screenshot of our document, and again, it looks just like the JRT, and we're collaborating with CBPCA on this transition. So it has worksheets within the spreadsheet for advanced and basic upgrade package jobs for both pre and post installation, and slightly updated data collection requirements pursuant to changes within the system, within the program. So, for instance, thermostatic control valve would be an item that would be indicated as required as opposed to recommended, and so verifying that level of data would just be something that we add to our file review. Next slide, please. For the enhanced combustion safety protocols, again, we've got a CAS data form adhering to BPI standards, and that's the form that's in the background. You can see that it is a PDF form that is fill-in. It's got drop-downs and things of that nature, and that's a form that our software can populate immediately, and it conforms to, it shouldn't be anything new for the BPI analysts that are performing those tests. And then the CAS action guidelines, according to the augmented guidelines for BPI, is a long checklist of things that folks doing the combustion appliance safety test will have to check, and it goes down a long, exhaustive list of areas in which there might be combustion appliance safety or combustion safety issues. And this augmented standard is according to NGAT. Is that correct?
Natural gas appliance test.
Yeah.
NGAT.
So that's just it's an extension of combustion appliance safety based upon other practitioners in the marketplace, which do a very thorough review of combustion appliance safety vulnerabilities and mitigation measures. Next slide, please. So we've gone over the data collection requirements, the forms, sort of the background as to why. And then in an analogous fashion, once you get all that, the data collected, the forms together, you're going to upload those forms to us in a simple fill-in form on our contractor portal. And there are just a couple simple steps associated with that, which we'll demo in a minute. So you'd log in at the buildagreenutility.org, our contractor portal, and the enrolled contractors will be assigned. You'll be given a pre-assigned login. Your username will be your email address or your principal email address that you've identified. When you log into the form, or when you log into the job upload form tool, there are options available to create a new job or to submit and track existing jobs. Once one of those areas has been selected and initiated, you can upload pre- and post-installation forms with really user-friendly web-based file upload or browse fields, which you're used to seeing, I'm sure. And then once we receive, you'll submit those forms to us after that. And once we receive those, our program QA staff will review applications. And depending upon what stage of the job submission process you're in, if it's in the pre-installation process, we will, do a file review of your submitted applications for completeness, for consistency within the scope and what it is you're applying for. And then if everything checks out well, we'll issue a notice to proceed with the installation measures, the actual construction work. And if not, then we'll be in touch with you to iron out any issues or incompleteness within the application. And similarly with the post-installation submittal, we will be in touch with you to make sure that everything's complete, everything looks good, and then at that point we'll issue the rebate approval. The next slide will show you a bit more about this form. So we're going to do a demo right afterwards, but I just wanted to show you a couple screenshots of this where you see that red oval circle. That's the submit and track jobs form. So in each of these two views, you've logged in to our form, and on the left-hand side, it just provides a list of active jobs that a contractor is working on. And then you can either click on one of those open jobs, or in the Submit and Track Jobs window in the upper right-hand column, you can create a new job, which is the screenshot on the right-hand side. And in that, there is a job information section at the top, which you'll enter a job name and enter, a homeowner account information, address, city. And then underneath that are all of the, areas where you can browse and upload the various required files. And there's one field for every file that is going to be required of you, and it will indicate where advanced, when you need to, what is required for an advanced job and what's required for a basic job. So, Jeff, I'm going to take control of the presentation so I can do a quick demo of this. So, yep, okay, so now you all can see my screen, and here I've logged into the portal, our contractor portal, and there are, this is on our test server, and we've got some, just test jobs that we've opened. So in the right-hand column here, where we look at submitting and tracking jobs, I can choose to add a new job. And when we go to add a new job, I'll enter basic job information. Enter a first name. And then underneath here, there are links for the pre-application and the post-installation application. Here it's labeled rebate pre-application, full application. We'll probably change that language up, and then you'll select that, and then the drop-down will list all your file upload forms. And for here, you can see CAS action guidelines, your interim Excel-based job, JRT equivalent, CAS data collection forms. We've got our energy simulation documents, our proposal, scope of work, and that's in the pre. And in the post section, we've got CAS action guidelines, the same forms again, but then you've got signed bid and invoices and building permit information if applicable. Again, that might change. That's not necessarily a hard and fast requirement. And so, just showing basic functionality, we can upload. This is, that's the Excel-based JRT. You can upload that, and then it shows you that your file's been uploaded, how big it is, what file type it is. For a CAS data collection form, you would just upload the PDF, press upload, upload those documents, and so on and so forth. When the contractor is of the opinion that the pre-installation side of the application is ready for review, you would go down with the job, in the box here, click yes, and that indicates to our QA folks that we're ready for review, and then you would just save your job, and that we're notified that a new job has been initiated, and the like. Also from that that add job form, within each phase, you can actually download these the forms. These are links to the actual forms themselves. So if you're looking for how to get those forms, that's just where they live. It's made to be pretty user-friendly and simple. So if we go back to the job list, you can see that this is the job that I just entered, and among all the other jobs that you got in your queue, within various stages within the QA and application process. So if we were to go, if you wanted to log in and actually edit or continue uploading information associated with your job, you would just go back to that job from your job list. And there are two tabs up here. You can view the status. You can view current, sort of what the status of your job is, including what files you've uploaded, any comments, information around what the status of it by way of, by way of you're indicating that it's ready for review, and where the QA, where our file review is within the process. And then if you wanted to upload more information, if you realize, oh, you know what, I didn't upload another document then, or I've got my Energy Pro simulation finished, then you would click this Edit tab. And the Edit tab takes you back to the same view, more or less, that we saw before, which is, you can edit your job name and, job information, or you can, expand the pre-rebate side of things and browse and upload other files as you have them. And that is that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this back off, and we'll continue. All right, next slide, please. We'll just finish it up on this section and then see about questions. So as we stated before, the step one, which we've just gone over, is going to be in effect from June 16th to June 30th, and it really is seen as a bridge to fully online job submission. We want to give participating contractors an ability to get familiar with the augmented combustion appliance safety features and any other data collection requirements that are slightly different. And we want to keep everything else more or less the same, similar, familiar Excel-based job submission templates, simple and easy file upload process, and on we go. Step two, it really begins on July 1st. So for those contractors who, so it begins on July 1st, but we're viewing step 2 as a smooth transition to fully online job submission throughout the whole month of July. So it's not going to be a hard changeover from Excel-based and file upload a manner of collecting jobs and submitting jobs to this new unfamiliar online tool called Green Energy Compass. We will have another webinar around Compass and provide customer service and training for the Compass tool, but we're here to help, and we're here to provide customer service to train participants on the new tool. So we imagine that for the entire month, Build It Green will be working with the participating contractors to get up to speed on Compass and on this method. And so we're going to be flexible with, it might be, we might, create a customized, tailored webinar for 5 contractors, say, in 1 week to do, a detailed training on it, and, that might, and in that case, you might submit jobs, or you might have information in the Excel-based JRTs and the other forms, and we would literally work with you via, sort of online web, webinars and web collaboration tools or online collaboration tools to help you translate and transfer that information over to the Green Energy Compass platform. So we're looking at July as a month where we do that transition, and we're your partner in helping you get there. And with that, that's the end of my section. So we will look for any questions and answer those as indicated.
So thank you, Korin. So as you saw, we got a little overview here of how the job application process is going to change here starting June 16th. Also want to encourage everyone, to stay tuned for upcoming webinars. We've got a couple more in the works here. Later this month, we'll do a webinar that gets into more detail around the combustion plant safety protocols and the changes that are coming with those protocols. And in early July, we'll be rolling out a webinar here introducing the Compass platform, so you can see what the web-based job management system is going to look like and start to make that transition. So stay tuned for dates announcing those webinars. In the meantime, we got a couple questions coming in. I
can read it off.
Why don't you read the...
Okay. So Aaliyah Lawrence Pine asked the question, what about brand new contractors that are trying to register for the program for the first time right now? Should they go through CBPCA or wait for Build It Green to be ready? When is it likely that Build It Green will be ready to accept new applications? Is that timeline different than already participating contractors that need to migrate over to Build It Green from CBPCA?
All right, so I'll answer that to the best of my ability. So if you've not already enrolled as a contractor, as a participating contractor, I'd encourage you just to wait until the new enrollment site is up and running. And we are very, very close. Like I say, all of the system is set up, it's ready to go. We've got the application forms, participation agreements that are written and ready to go. And we're just finalizing our legal review on those documents. I wish I could give you a firmer date, but that depends on our lawyers, and they work to their own timeline. But I expect it to be in a matter of days, or at the most a week or two. So if you were to go through the CBPCA process, you would end up duplicating some of that work, and I think it'd probably be simple for you just to give us another week or two here to get our site up and running. So my recommendation would be to wait to enroll until the new site is up. Let's see if the rest of the question there went.
Is the timeline around enrollment different than existing participating contractors that need to migrate over to Build It Green from CBPCA?
No. So if you're already a participating contractor, you remain a participating contractor. Once the new site is up, you will need to go and update your enrollment status. You'll need to execute a new participation agreement. But you'll have, I think we're going to give you 30 days to do that, so you have a period of time to go through those administrative steps. And I would encourage you to go to the web portal there at www.builditgreenutility.org. And if you weren't on the May 25th webinar, go ahead and look at the slide deck that we presented for that, and it gives a little bit more detailed information about the enrollment process. So I think that answers that question.
Okay. We've got another question from Jim Apperson. He said that we just switched over to Vision. Is this now going to be abandoned?
So, Vision is a system that is administered by ICF Consulting and CBPCA, and so it is specific to their implementation. So if you work in the Sacramento area and you're submitting jobs to SMUD, you'll still use Vision for those submittals to SMUD because the SMUD program is administered by CBPCA. So if you're submitting jobs for PG&E rebates, you'll be going through the Build a Green portal, and that will be this Green Energy Compass system that you're seeing. So there will be that transition. So there is a switch. Vision is not being abandoned, but ICF is still using it in places where they're the program administrator. Next question.
Next question. Susan Hamrick, will we be able to download these forms for our technicians to use on site?
So the answer there is yes. You saw there on the application page, there are hyperlinks where you can download those forms right to your local machine. And so there are templates that are blank that you can download, and then you can either print those out as paper-based forms if you do clipboard audits and clipboard data collection, or you can put it on your tablet or iPad or whatever it is you take out in the field if you do computer-based data entry. But you'll have those forms that you can take out into the field, do your data collection, bring them back to the office, get them all cleaned up, ready to go, and then you can just upload them.
And lastly, Ben Thompson has a question regarding the job submission demo that you just went through. Is that process to be used only until Compass comes online?
And the answer to that is yes. So this is an interim process, and basically during this interim phase, we're receiving your data and we're manually entering it into Compass on your behalf behind the scenes. So you don't see that part yet, but starting July we'll turn Compass on so that it's live for you, the participating contractors, as well, and so you'll be able to interact with it directly, and there'll be more functionality within Compass. So we wanted that transition to be a soft transition, so not everyone has to switch to Compass on July 1st, but once that system's up and live, then we want to start working with you and training you and coaching you through that process so you get comfortable with Compass and you can start working directly with Compass rather than having to go through us each time.
So that's it for the questions. Maybe we'll give another couple of seconds or so for any other questions. And for folks on the line, if you do think of other questions that you'd like to ask, we will have another Q&A section at the end. So Ben just had a question around, will contractors be able to use Surveyor?
So that's an excellent question. So Surveyor, for those of you who don't know, is basically a data collection module that is associated with Compass. And when the full Compass system goes online in July, Surveyor will come with it, and you'll be able to use Surveyor for your field data collection. Right now, for this interim process, we've developed these data collection templates in Excel and the PDF form for the combustion appliance safety. Those basically mirror the data that you would be collecting for Surveyor. So you're getting used to the data inputs that you'll need for Surveyor, and then in July, you would use the full functionality that's available there. All right, well, I don't see any other questions. We'll certainly take some more questions here at the end. We'll open it up for general questions again. But in the meantime, why don't we keep moving with our program. Again, as we've done with our past two, we like to feature one of our local government partners, one of our public agency partners, and the work that they're doing. As you almost certainly know, Energy Upgrade California is a rather innovative collaborative effort among all of the investor-owned utilities as well as a number of local governments and public agencies. So it's really been an unprecedented level of collaboration going on around the state. And so today we want to feature one of our partners in Energy Upgrade California, CHF. It's the California Home Buyers Fund. Dan Wynn is going to be presenting on behalf of CHF. Dan has been with CHF now for about 8 years. He's a program administrator there. He's primarily responsible for their program outreach and their training and their client support. processing files and applications and things related to program administration. So he is the person to talk to for information about their innovative financing products that they offer through Energy Upgrade California. So we're really happy to have Dan with us today. And Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks for having me. It's good. Switch to the next slide. Okay. So basically, as part of the money that was funneled down from the CEC, CHF, which actually stands for Comfort Home Buyers Fund, created a program to help homeowners finance the cost of upgrades to their property. Basically, what our programs provide is a low interest rate loan option that's amortized over 15 years, that's currently available in over 39 counties in California, and eventually will be available in about 48 counties, basically all of our member and associate members of CHF. Our programs basically encourage the homeowners to take a whole house approach, combining several different improvement measures together to increase the overall benefit and efficiency achievements of a home. The other goal of our program was to provide jobs and help the local economies by providing means for which people can do work in these local areas with relations to energy retrofits. Next slide. Now, to give you a little bit of background about the fund availability, basically the CEC, or the State Energy Commission, provided us with a $16.5 million grant in order to show our interest in the product and kind of buy into. We've actually included $2 million of our own money for a total grant or total pool of funding of roughly $18.5 million. That $18.5 million is broken down as follows. We are providing about $9.3 million available in loan financing. We're going to provide $4.1 million in grant financing towards the project cost. And then we'll also have an additional $1.5 million in grant money to cover the cost of inspections, leaving the remaining for administration, including training, outreach, and marketing for the program. This current contract that we have with the CEC is scheduled to expire on March of next year. In the event that money isn't completely used, we will stop accepting applications on February 15th. However, at this time, our current pace of spending on the money, we do believe that it will probably be fully allocated by that time frame. There have been discussions on making this program available in the future, whether it's by allowing us to recycle the payments we get back on these loans or providing us with some new grant money. But at this time, there haven't been any definitive decisions made. So for all intents and purposes, we do expect that the program will end next year, but we're hoping it won't, simply because we've invested so much time and money into creating a successful and effective program. Next slide. Now, on the map on your screen right now, you can see all of California, and it's broken down into 3 colors. Pretty much the yellow is all of our members, the light blue is all of our associate members, and the white are areas that are currently not participating in our program. There is one change to this map. I believe that the city of San Jose, which is in Santa Clara County, and the city of Palmdale, which is in Los Angeles County, those 2 jurisdictions are eligible to offer the program. For the rest of the counties in white, unfortunately, given our contract with the CEC and the way that the money was divided up, we cannot offer our program in those areas at this time. Now, the only real distinction between member and associate members is that for a limited time, I don't know how long it's going to be, but from what I've been told, it's probably going to last at least through the summer building season, is we are offering a 0% interest rate loan for 15 years to all of our member counties. Otherwise, it's just a simple, very low 3% interest rate on all of our associate member counties, or whenever our limited period expires. Next slide. Now, one of the questions that we get when it comes to our programs is, what kind of work will we allow to be done under this financing? Well, what we're encouraging as part of our agreement with the CEC is where our focus is Tier 3 work, which is basically a whole house concept. It builds on the concept of HERS 2 as well as home performance with Energy Star. The goal of Tier 3 is kind of address all of the house energy consumption features, kind of make improvements in all aspects of the home to maximize the overall benefit in terms of efficiency, improvement in air quality, combustion safety, and so forth. Tier 3 includes Tier 1 and Tier 2. For those of you who aren't familiar with Tier 1 and Tier 2, Tier 1 is basically very low cost, very simple work that doesn't require a contractor, like weather stripping, changing light bulbs, that kind of stuff. Tier 2 provided by a single source. Example, replacement of an HVAC system or a water heater, where a contractor is available to do it, but it can all come from one source. Typically, sometimes Tier 2 is referred to as prescriptive work, just replacing kind of old units. Our goal with this program is to combine Tier 1 and Tier 2 and approach the house in a Tier 3 format. Next slide. So as long as you are doing Tier 3 work and your work does provide a net cash flow positive or neutral result, more than likely we're going to approve your project. The way it works is, as an approved contractor who's been through training for our program, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do an energy assessment on your subject property to kind of predict the energy savings and kind of provide them with a recommendation of what could be done to their property to make it more energy efficient. Now, as mentioned earlier by Mark from Grupe, with our program, we don't allow the borrowers to be charged anything unless they actually follow through and use our program. So in respects to the audits, it's probably in your best interest to do like a preliminary screening of the borrowers, to give them a call, kind of find out what they're looking to do, kind of gauge their interest to see if it's worthwhile for you to go out there and spend 4 to 8 hours of your time doing an audit when they may not qualify for the program or when they're not really trying to do it. So again, with our program at this time, because we don't allow the contractors to charge the borrowers anything unless they follow through with our program, we do encourage you guys to do your homework before you go out and proceed to do these audits. Now, once you do these audits, we are going to prioritize the lowest cost, highest benefit measures first. That being, we do home performance before we do renewables as part of our loading order principles. But renewables is an option available under our program as long as the home performance aspect comes first, and the home performance aspect does result in a 10% improvement in the HERS score. Now, some examples of types of work are things like tightening of the house envelope, installing or increasing insulation, or exchanging outdated systems like HVACs or water heaters with more energy efficient units. Next slide. As mentioned earlier, typically our financing is a combination of a loan and grant. Pretty much you don't get one without the other. So the loan itself is 3%, but as I mentioned earlier, for a limited time it would be 0% in member counties, and it's fully amortized over 15 years. To kind of give you some perspective, on a $10,000 loan, it's going to result in about a $69 payment per month for our program at 3%. If it's at 0%, it's about $55 a month in terms of a loan payment per month. The beauty of our program is that our goal is to provide all the financing required to help your borrower get that job done, meaning that our loan amount in most cases will be the project cost after our grants. Typically, there are no maximum or minimums to how much we'll loan as long as it makes sense. Not to go into too much detail in order to confuse anybody, but the way we evaluate what makes sense is we look at a cash flow analysis. As long as the project results in more energy savings than it costs to do the project, we're going to finance it. But we're not looking at the cost as a whole. We're evaluating the cost after we remove consideration for standard equipment. What that basically means is that we take the standard cost or standard equipment cost out of our analysis before we evaluate the benefit of the product. It's kind of complicated. It sounds kind of complicated, and it's kind of complicated to explain without writing it on paper. But again, we're not comparing the actual cost savings with the actual project cost per month. We're comparing the actual cost savings against a net project cost per month, which is actually going to be lower. So it's going to help your borrower to qualify in more cases than not. The loans that we're providing are going to be serviced by CHF, and we're not putting a lien against the property. We're putting a lien against any fixtures that are installed on the property. Now, when you apply for our loan, you're automatically applying for our grant, which basically means that we will provide a grant of up to 15% of the project cost for a maximum of $1,250 per home. On top of that $1,250, we're also offering an additional grant of $700 to cover the cost of your inspections. That's $400 for your in-audit and $300 for your out inspection. Next slide. Now, in the interest of making our programs very flexible and make sure the money gets spent, we did our best to make the program as easy to use as possible. In terms of property eligibility, we will accept for any single family unit as well as 1 to 4 unit properties as long as they're residential properties. At this time, we do not allow for manufactured or mobile homes, and the properties must be in one of our member or associate member counties. The property itself must be free of any judgment, tax, or mechanic liens, and it must receive an exemption or an approval from the State Historic Preservation Office. Real quickly, SHPO exemptions are pretty straightforward. Properties that are less than 45 years old are automatically exempt, and any property that's more than 45 years old can be exempt by checking the appropriate exemptions, whether it be for not making any structural changes to the property, only working on insulation. There's actually 9 pages of exemptions you can choose from. So it's not too complicated to get the property exempt from SHPO. Typically speaking, only about 9% of the properties in the United States fall under some historic list. Generally, we do recommend you avoid those properties because getting that kind of approval from SHPO is a little bit more difficult. Again, in the interest of flexibility, we do allow for rental properties as long as the homeowner is applying for the program, and there are no appraisals required on our program, meaning that your borrower does not have to be does not have to have equity in the home in order to qualify. Next slide. Applicants for this program basically means that anyone who's on title must apply for the program. All applicants must have a current source of income, and just to give you the heads up, unemployment is not considered a source of income. We have pretty generous income limits that range between 60 and 160% of area median. It's already calculated for you on our website. Please note that the income minimum of 60% is a soft limit. Your borrowers can make less than that. The only reason we have that in place is because they may qualify for free programs before they use our program. The maximum limit is a hard ceiling. Borrowers cannot go over that maximum if they want to qualify for the program. All borrowers must be current on their mortgage and must have their property taxes paid. Again, in the interest of flexibility, we don't require any minimum credit score, and there is no maximum debt-to-income ratio for our program. Next slide. The process for our program is broken down into 4 primary steps. I'm going to go over it really briefly. If you decide you want to participate in our program, we actually provide a much longer, more in-depth training that covers this in more detail. But briefly what it is the first process is that you go ahead and apply, or have your borrower and help them apply for the loan and grant. Once they apply, we'll review their application, and if everything is okay, we'll go ahead and approve the loan and grant. After approval, it's then your turn to go ahead and install the recommended measures onto the property. Once you install them, you're going to have those measures verified, and once the job is complete, you can submit a package to us, and we will fund the loan within about 3 to 5 days of receiving that completed package. Now, one thing to remember, with our program, we don't allow any payments to be made until the project has been completed and verified and we get all of our required documentation. Next slide. Now, in order to help you guys make this program work, we do provide marketing materials on our website. We have a whole section dedicated to flyers and brochures that have already been developed to help you guys sell this product to your homeowners. All of our materials always have space blank or space left blank on purpose to allow you to staple your business cards to the flyers, or if you happen to be more tech savvy, you can definitely put your information on there electronically. All materials are available online for download, so you can print them out or email them to your prospective client. Next slide. Now, if you want to participate in our program, we do have a list of requirements as part of our agreement with the CEC. At this time, we are only approving contractors with a Class B license or a general contractor. They must meet standard insurance requirements. They must employ a building performance, a BPI certified analyst on their staff. There has to be proof that they're proficient in this type of home performance work. The way we evaluate that is we ask them to provide us with 2 jobs that have been completed in the last 24 months where they've done home performance work. We're looking for a contract. We're looking for a copy of the models that they use to assess the property, as well as a copy of the audits that were done to verify the work that was done. A waste management plan is required as part of our agreement with the CEC. However, we can actually help you guys complete that once you become an approved contractor for our program. It's a really simple compilation of forms that will help you fill out. There's also a contractor agreement between your office and us that you will abide by our guidelines and requirements. And once you become approved, we will schedule a more in-depth training with your staff to show you guys how to sell the product, how to complete the application, and all of the required documentation to ensure that your loans get approved and your projects get funded. It looks like a lot of stuff, but the only real big points on this are going to be the second, the third, and fourth bullet. Is there has to be a BPI person on your staff, and you have to be proficient in this type of work. Next slide. If you guys have any questions, which I assume a lot of questions will probably come after the call today, our information is listed there for you to contact us. In the meantime, that does bring me to the end of my presentation, so I'll go ahead and pass it back and open the floor for questions.
Thank you so much, Dan. And we did get to some questions come in. I'm going to throw you hopefully a softball here myself. So your map shows that the counties that you serve, there's a lot of overlap with the PG&E service territory. So for a contractor with a client that is in one of those counties, do they have to choose between your loan product and your financial support versus the PG&E rebate, or can they take both?
At this time, they can do both. The only restrictions that are ever levied on the program are going to come from the utility companies. For example, SMUD offers they pay like $400 towards your audit. At this point, you're allowed to collect both, but at some future date, they may be eliminating the ability to collect both on that. But in regards to PG&E rebates, at this time, yeah, you would be able to take advantage of both.
Fantastic. Question from Aaliyah Lawrence Pine. What type of assessments are covered by that $700 rebate? Is it a BPI assessment or HERS 2, something else?
Right now, we require a BPI assessment on the in audit, and we require an independent third-party HERS 2 assessment on the out inspection, and that's what the $700 would cover, $400 for the in and $300 for the out.
Great. Okay, so and the out inspection is by a HERS 2 rater.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Other questions from the audience for Dan?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Yeah.
So far, we haven't received any other questions.
Oh, no
any other questions from folks in general about any of the program this afternoon?
We have a question from Jim Apperson. How would you send out the location of the May 25th webinar via email, and also will this one be available? And the answer is yes. On this slide deck, we had the URL for where the other webinars are posted, and we will send out an email to attendees and registrants when we post this webinar. This webinar will post the slides and the recording, and the web link, which will house this webinar, also is the same for the May 25th and the April 21st.
The URL, just to repeat, is www.builditgreenutility.org. So that is the portal where you can find these webinar presentations. That is also the portal where you will go to submit your job applications, the portal that you'll go to when we go live with contractor enrollment. So everything will go to that portal, www.builditgreenutility, and utility is singular, builditgreenutility.org. We have a question coming in here for Dan from Jeffrey Lang. Dan, will there be more program trainings online?
The way it typically works is we have a general training or like an orientation that's available on our website. They vary between half an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how in-depth that specific training is supposed to go. And those are always available online, and you can definitely contact our office if you have any questions about those. The more important training that we recommend is once you become an approved contractor and you've submitted all your paperwork, we're going to schedule a separate procedural training with you guys where we kind of show your staff how to sell the program, all of the documents that are required in detail, what they each mean, and how to go about getting them filled out, and to make sure that you can get your loans funded and your project approved.
Great. Thank you, Dan. We have another question here for you, Dan. This one from Ben Thompson. It sounds like Ben is actually a participating contractor in the CHF loan program, and he's going through the loan application process. And his question is, does each measure have to show that savings exceed cost, or are combined measures expected to exceed combined costs?
You know, since I have a moment, I'll try my best to explain that. Short answer, it's combined measures. But here's how it works. Let me give you guys an example. And I've tried my best to find a good example, but I haven't had a good one yet. So if you have a house that needs to have their HVAC replaced, what we consider standard cost is the cost it would take to replace an HVAC system like an 80% off-the-shelf model. That's considered standard cost. What we're encouraging borrowers to do with our program is to buy like a 95% efficient model and pay the extra, $1,000 or whatever it might be to get that higher efficient model. The difference in the standard cost and the high efficient model is what we use to analyze that cost as a loan payment versus how much you save. So for example, if your borrower is buying a 95% efficient HVAC system and it costs $7,000, but a standard model costs $5,000, instead of evaluating the cost of a $7,000 model, we're only going to evaluate the difference, which is only $2,000 as a loan payment compared to your energy savings. And that's what we mean by net cash flow as opposed to absolute cash flow. Not sure that makes sense, but that's how we evaluate if a project is going to be approved and if it makes sense.
Okay. So Dan, if my client wants to install 3 measures, they want to do insulation, they want to do duct sealing, they want to replace their air conditioner. The insulation shows more savings than net cost. The duct sealing shows more savings than net cost. Maybe the air conditioner doesn't show more savings than net cost, but they want to do it for other reasons. But all 3 together show more savings than net cost. Could I include the air conditioner in that package?
Yes, you could.
Great.
I just want to go ahead and mention, though, is that our primary focus of this program is fixtures for the residents. I've gotten quite a few questions about pool pumps. Unfortunately, that's not going to fly.
Okay. Great. Last call for questions for Dan or for anyone else for today's presentation. One more coming in here. Can some of the financing cover non-efficiency measures? And not quite sure what non-efficiency measures refers to. Why don't you tell us what you think that means, Dan?
Well, in general, as long as the measure is related to the home itself and it results in improvements in energy efficiency, we would approve it. So okay. I'm guessing non-efficiency measurements, it's not going to improve the home efficiency, and therefore we wouldn't do it.
So the clarification was, for example, if the efficiency measure is combined with a remodel or a larger scope of work that includes non-efficiency stuff.
Yeah, we would only be able to provide financing for the things that actually result and are actually directly tied to improving home performance.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the program. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Again, you can go back to the, we're recording today's webinar, and hopefully last time we had a technical difficulty, so we don't have the recording from last time. We have the PowerPoint deck on our website from the May 25th session, but today we're recording, and we'll put that up on the website at www.builditgreenutility.org. And stay tuned. Like I say, the next big transition here, June 16th, we're going to start accepting job applications. We will send out an announcement as soon as we have a firm date for transitioning over on the contractor enrollment process and getting everyone who is waiting to start that process, getting all of you on board. And we'll be also sending out announcements of upcoming webinars. And like I say, the next one will be addressing these combustion appliance safety protocols in more detail. So thank you all for joining us, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.